Today I want to talk about green smoothies, chronic pain, and oxalates. Is health food making you sick? What are oxalates? Oxalates are naturally occurring substances found in plants, animals, and in humans. We get oxalates from plant-based foods, and if the body doesn't create oxalates, they can accumulate in muscles, in the brain, and in the urinary system. Oxalates form crystals which cause tissue damage, and this increases inflammation and pain. Antibiotic use can influence the body negatively to handle oxalates. Antibiotics kill the beneficial bacteria in the gut, which are able to break down oxalates. Overconsumption of high oxalate foods such as spinach or nuts can be the driving factor of an overload of oxalates. Vitamin and mineral deficiency that handle oxalates and help to excrete them is a problem. Another factor that supports an increase in oxalates is an overconsumption of fat or fat malabsorption, because fat binds to calcium and calcium helps to bind oxalates. So when less calcium is available, because it already is bound up with the fat you ate, the oxalates are free to get into the blood and tissue. Leaky gut is another problem. It allows oxalates to get into the bloodstream. And a big problem is the lack of beneficial gut bacteria or gut dysbiosis, when there are more pathogenic bacteria in the gut than the beneficial bacteria. Beneficial bacteria break down oxalates, and you can see where the problem lies with the lack of the good guys. Symptoms of high oxalates when we eat high oxalate food or drink high oxalate green powders are headache, fatigue, insomnia, burning feet, muscle cramp, muscle twitching, irregular heartbeat or a weak heartbeat, low blood pressure, and signs of heart failure. Fibromyalgia-like pain, bloating, frequent urination, cloudy urine, kidney stones, brain fog, anxiety, candida overgrowth, and joint pain. When we take a look at green powder dosage recommendations, we find that with each dosage we would consume 15 grams of oxalates. This could potentially be a lethal dosage. When we search for green smoothies and the green powders online, we find thousands of websites and articles that recommend those products and foods. We find hundreds of recipes for green smoothies, which are loaded with spinach and nuts. Those drinks are advertised as healthy foods, breakfast foods, detoxification, and cleansing foods. When we look at symptoms people experience after they ingested large dosage of oxalates, around 10 to 15 grams, we find that people go into shock, convulsions, coma, and could even die. 2 cups of spinach contain 15 grams of oxalates. Green smoothies are loaded with oxalates and seem to be the dietary recommendation nowadays for healthy living. I had a client who was diagnosed with severe fibromyalgia pain, was suffering for years before she came to me. We did some testing and the food list she sent to me showed that she was consuming high oxalate foods on a regular basis. She basically ate spinach every day and she loved almond butter. I asked her to stop eating those foods, and within 3 days she reported back to me that her pain had drastically improved and her muscle pain was gone after being off of high oxalate foods for 3 weeks. Sometimes the solutions are pretty simple. The body recognizes oxalates as toxins and stores those in fat. Oxalates can deposit in the urinary system. They basically crystallize in the urinary system in the kidneys or bladder. 10 to 15% of adults in the US will be diagnosed with kidney stones in their lifetime, and 70 to 90% of kidney stones are oxalates. Oxalates can deposit in any tissue of the body, in the muscles, the heart, the kidneys, bones, brain, and blood-brain barrier. Also in the skin, thyroid gland, joints, where they can cause a lot of pain, in blood vessels, in the lungs, eyes, and thymus gland. Also in fat, teeth, in the mouth, nerves, and bone marrow. So this shows that oxalates basically can be deposited in any tissue of the body and can cause damage there. Candida aspergillus, which lives in the GI tract, can produce oxalates, and aspergillus combines with heavy metals. So if we have an overload of heavy metals plus candida, we are in trouble in regard to more oxalates. When we also eat food high in oxalates, we make matters worse. Spinach is high in oxalates, beets, sweet potatoes, blueberries, citrus peel, figs, gooseberries, kiwi, pomegranate, raspberries, almonds, peanuts, chia seeds, sesame seeds, chocolate, amaranth, buckwheat, quinoa, and beans. Now, not all foods I listed here contain the same high amount of oxalates, but spinach is basically on top of the list. Oxalates bind to calcium, zinc, and mercury. And when we keep this in mind, we can counteract a high oxalate meal by adding calcium citrate and magnesium citrate with each meal, as well as vitamin B6 to stimulate enzyme production. Of course, we should pay attention to high oxalate foods and avoid them if we already have an overload of oxalates. In case of candida overgrowth, we can add an antifungal herb and megaspore biotic as a probiotic, as well as restore flora. It helps with dysbiosis in the gut, and the bacteria and the beneficial bacteria that digest oxalates can multiply. You can find the megaspore and restore flora in my shop. Just go to my website and click on shop. So what is the takeaway from this video? Do you suffer from fibromyalgia like pain? Maybe you want to pay attention to what you eat on a daily basis. Do you eat a lot of foods that are high in oxalates? Do you have digestive issues? Are you deficient in calcium and or magnesium or in vitamins? Sometimes a solution to a problem is simple. Leaving out spinach or green smoothies for a while may be the answer to your problem. If you found this video helpful, you may want to leave a comment underneath and give it a like. Share it with somebody who is suffering and would benefit from the information I provided. Take care.